We're speaking with Adam Makos, author of the book Spearhead. It's an exciting story about tank warfare in World War II. Adam, why should people care about wanting to read about some tank guys in World War II?
They led the way to victory, and a lot of times I always thought the paratroopers or the infantry guys were the first in front, but really these men in the Spearhead division, that was their specialty, piercing through the enemy lines and driving behind the enemy lines and winning these big battles. But with it, there was a big downside. They lost a lot of men, a lot of tanks. They paid a lot of sacrifices.
You concentrate on this one crew that has this guy Clarence as the guy who shoots off the guns all the time, and they were special in the fact that they got a tank that was better than all the others right towards the end of the war, right? That was an important part of how they managed to survive their battles.
We had this Sherman tank, and we thought it was the best tank ever. And then the Germans just kept getting bigger and better, and they were beating ours around. So as an emergency measure, we had to rush these 20 Pershing tanks to the European theater, and our hero Clarence got one of them. He was just a 21-year-old corporal from Coal Country, Pennsylvania, and now he's given the most advanced tank in the American arsenal, the only tank that can go toe-to-toe with the Germans. And with that comes a new responsibility. He has to lead the way in every attack since then.
Since one of his biggest motivations was surviving the war, that was always on his mind. So they got to Cologne, and it was important that they take the city of Cologne in Germany, and there was a tank, a Panzer tank, that was sort of waiting for them there, right? And they got into a one-on-one duel. And what was it about the American tank that ended up allowing them to survive the fact that the Germans could have shot the first shot?
The difference really was that man, Clarence Schmoyer, the gunner of the American tank. You see, he knew that he had to shoot first and shoot straight and not miss, because if he missed, somebody in his crew was going to die, and his crew was his family. He used to say, we're a family locked in a sardine can.
And wasn't it also a fact that the German guy in the tank, he thought because this was a new American tank, he thought it was maybe one of theirs. He wasn't sure that he was about to kill a German tank.
Clarence had an advantage that day. The German hesitated. A millisecond could be the difference in a battle like that. They say it was like a Western gunfight in the streets of Cologne.
And one of the saddest things is just before this one-on-one battle, a civilian car drove through, and both sides started to shoot at it, right? And what happened with that car?
They shot and they wounded, and then later she died. A civilian woman. Her name was Katharina Esser. She was just a grocery store clerk, but she was driving through the city, trying to flee the city of Cologne.
And then that was on Clarence's mind for decades. And tell me how it finally ended, that with him and one of the Germans from that tank meeting in Cologne, and what did the Germans say to Clarence to give him peace finally about the way that woman died?
It stayed with Clarence for decades, and eventually he had to talk to somebody. Now his whole crew had all died by then. Who was left? Just the man he fought against. And so he traveled to Germany, and in front of the cathedral, he and Gustav Schaefer, the young German tank gunner who was back then was 18, who was battling him, they put their arms around each other, and Clarence said, the war is over, we can be friends now. Gustav said, here's where my tank was, here's where Clarence's tank was. And these men said, this is where the mistake happened. And Gustav said those beautiful words that would later give Clarence peace. He said, Clarence, it's war. It's in the nature of it. It can't be undone. War was what was responsible. War was what took her life.
Well, thank you so much, Adam, for telling us about it. This has been Adam Makos we've been speaking to, author of the book Spearhead, a New York Times bestseller. Thank you very much, Adam.